Imran Khan is jailed for corruption. The former Pakistan Prime Minister calls for peaceful protests after his sentence to 3 years behind bars. Also tonight, heavy rain and strong winds batter the UK. Storm Anthony ruins holidays and devastates business.
We've owned the campsite now for 16 years and it's probably the worst year of weather we've had this year, to be honest with you.
A new scheme to crack down on people smugglers who use social media to lure asylum seekers to cross the channel. And they've done it for the first time ever. England's netballers are through to tomorrow's World Cup final.
This is ITV News with Kylie Pentelow.
Good evening. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has been taken to jail tonight after being convicted on corruption charges, allegations he denies. The former cricket star was found guilty of not declaring money earned from selling gifts he received in office, a conviction that could end any future role in politics. He's urged his supporters to hold peaceful demonstrations after he was handed a 3-year sentence. He says he'll appeal against the conviction. Vincent McAviney reports.
Ever since he was ousted from office last year in a no-confidence vote after falling out with Pakistan's powerful military, Imran Khan's legal woes have mounted. Today, the former Prime Minister was taken into custody here at his home in Lahore after a court in Islamabad found him guilty of not declaring money he had earned from selling state gifts. In response, he released a pre-recorded message with a call to action. You should not stay at home, as I am not doing this struggle for myself. I'm doing it for my nation, for you, for the future of your children. You don't rise for your rights, you will live the life of slaves. In an interview with ITV News last month, Khan predicted his incarceration.
90% chances I'll be behind bars. So I am all mentally prepared that, there's a possibility tomorrow night and onwards I will be spending in jail.
Today's verdict is centred on charges that he incorrectly declared details of presents from foreign dignitaries and proceeds from their alleged sale. The gifts, reported to be worth hundreds of thousands of pounds, included Rolex watches, a ring and a pair of cufflinks. Mr. Khan denies the charges, which he claims are politically motivated, and says he will appeal. But he's facing more than 100 cases brought against him since his removal, for charges including corruption, terrorism and inciting violent political protests against the government and military. Since being ousted, Mr. Khan has been campaigning for early elections in the country, but this conviction would disqualify him from standing for office, possibly forever. But in a colourful life which has seen him springboard from World Cup winning cricket star to playboy and then statesman, the evident suppression of supporters tonight across Pakistan, heeding Khan's call, might foretell difficult days ahead for the nation. Vincent McAviney, ITV News.
Warnings are still in place for much of the country as Storm Anthony continues to batter the UK. 78-mile-an-hour winds and heavy rains caused widespread chaos. Homes had to be evacuated in North Yorkshire. A music festival in Newcastle, due to be attended by 60,000 people, had to be cancelled at the last minute. And fallen trees have blocked 100 miles of railway between Exeter and Penzance. But despite the unseasonably miserable forecast, many people are still determined to enjoy themselves, whatever the weather, as Lewis Warner found out.
The summer sun went somewhere else today, Bournemouth Beach looking more like a winter wonderland, as predicted gusts of up to 65 miles per hour battered the southwest coast, accompanied by vicious, sporadic downpours, forcing those who braved the beach to find shelter.
Well, I think it's a great place to shelter. We've been able to eat together and just have fun.
It's not what we expect, but God has been faithful. The children have had a fantastic time. They've had time in the water, so they've enjoyed themselves.
On a normal August day, this beach would be packed, but such is the unseasonable weather, the Met Office has named its first storm of the season, only the third time it's ever done so in August.
The reason we've got all of this unsettled weather is because of where the position of the jet stream is. And so at the moment, we've kind of got the jet stream generally to our south, but at the moment it's kind of bringing these lows across the UK. So that's why we've got Storm Anthony affecting us.
In North Yorkshire, a car was caught in flash flooding, filmed here near the seaside resort of Whitby. And in nearby Robin Hood's Bay, water was seen gushing through the streets. Brighton's Pride Parade wasn't blown off course though, thousands still turning out and clinging on.
You've got the hardest job!
And at glorious Goodwood, the ladies swapped their fascinators for umbrellas. But the prospect of Storm Anthony causing havoc with their holidays was not enough to put off these happy campers in Poole.
We're going to be absolutely fine, aren't we? We've got extra pegs all round our tent, we've got all our guy ropes out and
extra blankets to keep us warm.
How do you feel about that, knowing you're going to be in your tent?
You're worrying me now, yeah. I think we're going to spend time going to a local supermarket then and stocking up on provisions and just making sure that everything's nailed down.
Yeah, lots of tent pegs today.
Lots of tent pegs, yeah.
But it's not as if today was the first disappointing day for summertime industries this year.
We've owned the campsite now for 16 years and it's probably the worst year of weather we've had this year. March and April were the poorest we've had. July we're about 10% down and we're very hopeful August will continue now because hopefully there's a break in the weather on the way.
A break in the bad weather is what they want and what they need. But for now, the sun is still off on its own holiday. Lewis Warner, ITV News, Bournemouth.
The government is planning to use social media firms to help crack down on the number of small boats crossing the Channel. It wants to stop people smugglers from using social media to lure migrants into paying them for the perilous journey. Tech giants, including Facebook and TikTok, are said to have signed up to the move. Let's get more on this from our political correspondent, Libby Vina. So, Libby, just how will all this work?
Well, back in January, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, made that pledge to pass new laws to stop the boats, one of his 5 pledges. Now, he has managed to pass laws, get legislation through Parliament, which makes it illegal to come to this country by unauthorised means. But so far, he hasn't been so successful in actually stopping the boats. A record number of crossings in June, 600 in one day. And while the weather in July was something of a deterrent, only yesterday there were 262 people picked up in boats crossing the Channel. So the new idea is to enlist the help of social media companies like Facebook, to try and remove content from the internet that might be acting in some way to recruit people, to encourage people to take these very dangerous routes into this country. Now, the opposition parties have looked at this rather sceptically, say it's tinkering around the edges. It is backed by some money, £11 million, which will pay for officers from the National Crime Agency to work with the Home Office to try and take down content that they think might be luring people here. But at the same time, the one measure that seems to have really worked so far that the government has implemented is that agreement with Albania to return Albanians who've come here illegally. Many of the others are coming from countries such as Afghanistan. It's much less clear whether they are actually being lured by content on social media or rather the chaos in their own countries, which is making them make these very perilous crossings.
OK, Libby, thank you. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky has said tonight that a Russian-guided bomb has hit a blood transfusion centre in Ukraine. He posted this photograph on his Twitter account and said there are an unspecified number of dead and wounded. He described the attack as a war crime and said that it demonstrates everything about Russian aggression. Russia has so far not commented. But it comes just hours after Russia condemned Ukraine for what it described as a barbaric attack on one of its fuel tanker ships in the Black Sea. Twice in 2 days, Ukraine has used what seems to be a new tactic in the war, remotely controlled seaborne drones to sink ships. The US Justice Department has asked a court for a so-called protective order against former President Donald Trump to stop him publicly revealing evidence against him because of fears he could intimidate potential witnesses. Follows comments he posted on his social media platform yesterday saying, "If you go after me, I'm coming after you." Sport for you now, and a big scalp for Scotland with the Rugby World Cup just a month away. The Scots beat Six Nations runners-up and World Cup host France at Murrayfield, fighting back from 18 points behind to win the warm-up match 25-21, despite having Xander Ferguson sent off. It was a bad day for England in their warm-up match against Wales in Cardiff. Wales scored 2 second-half tries to beat Steve Borthwick's side 20 points to 9. To football, and a shock on the opening day of the new Scottish Premiership season. Last season's runners-up Rangers were beaten 1-0 by Kilmarnock. Brad Lyons scored the only goal. But defending champion Celtic made it a winning start, beating Ross County 4-2. And finally, England's women's netball team are through to tomorrow's World Cup final, where they'll play 11-time champions Australia for the title. Today, as Chris Scudder now reports, the Roses beat defending champions New Zealand 46-40 in their semi-final to qualify for tomorrow's big match.
46-40.
Tears and joy on and off the court. The Roses had waited a long time for this moment. England through to the World Cup final for the very first time. The fans could barely believe it. The semi-final could not have been closer. Dead level at 20 points all at the halfway point. The Silver Ferns of New Zealand would not give up their title easily. After the third quarter, the two teams could still not be separated. But the England followers believed, and with the match heading towards extra time, the Roses finally broke clear of the world champions and reached for the stars. 6 goals without reply in the final 5 minutes settled the tie. And having already beaten 11 times champions Australia once at this tournament, they'll now try to do it again in the final.
They've played against number 1 and number 2 in the world in the last 2 matches and have withstood a great amount of pressure in both of those games and come through it, so they can take a lot of confidence knowing that they've played against the top 2 teams in the world, had great tussles and come out on top, so they'll hopefully should go in with confidence.
They're already feeling on top of the world, just one more hurdle to make it official. Chris Scudder, ITV News.
And that's it for tonight. The weather forecast is coming up next. But from all of the team here, have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Everywhere will be lovely and warm today. You might even be tempted to go for a dip. Heinz Seriously Good Mayonnaise sponsors ITV National Weather.
Hello again. Much better news weather-wise for tomorrow across the country. After the effects of Storm Anthony die down tonight, showers will ease off. Winds will also be far lighter during tomorrow, and it will feel warmer with some sunshine to look forward to. Over the next few hours, still a few showers to come, gradually quieter conditions and winds dying down. 9 or 10 Celsius the overnight low. And as we head into Sunday morning, many places will see clear skies. Sunshine getting out, but a few showers from the word go during the day tomorrow. Into the afternoon, 1 or 2 sharp ones down that Pennine Spine, parts of Scotland, down into the south there. But lots of fine weather in between, and it will feel warmer in general. In the southeast, perhaps reaching 21 Celsius during the day. Winds falling far lighter than they have been today. As we go into the new working week, not a bad start. Monday, some sunshine around. There will be low pressure systems around over the next few days, but it will feel warmer in general. Good night.
Heinz Seriously Good Mayonnaise sponsors ITV National Weather.
Whatever the weather, it always feels like home. Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV London Weekend Weather.
Hello again. Well, it certainly has been a very turbulent start to the weekend. Storm Anthony has brought some wet and very windy weather at times. Thankfully, tomorrow looks a lot better, just a scattering of showers in the mix. And then by the middle part of the new week, signs of something altogether drier and, dare I say, a bit warmer with it too. So Storm Anthony is now moving away eastwards. In its wake, we see a battle between high and low pressure over the next few days, but it does look as though high pressure will win out, at least for a short while. Out there at the moment then, any lingering showers associated with today's stormy weather should clear away in the next hour or so, and for much of the rest of the night it'll become dry, some lengthy clear spells, and temperatures on the fresher side compared to recent nights, dipping down to around 10 or 11 Celsius. Tomorrow morning then, actually a lovely start to the day, a good deal of sunshine first thing. As we head into the afternoon, we'll see a bit more cloud bubbling up, just a scattering of showers drifting in on the northwesterly breeze, but they will be very few and far between. For most of us, the emphasis on a much drier, much brighter day than we've had today, and with more in the way of sunshine and winds quite a bit lighter as well. Temperatures will get just that bit higher, creeping into the low 20s, warmer still by midweek.
Vaillant Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV London Weekend Weather.